Post 1. Am I the jerk for not buying my grandchild a Christmas gift? I am a mother of two grown sons, on a modest pension, and this Christmas I apparently became public enemy number one because I did not want to pretend a child I barely know is my grandchild. For context, I have two boys. My older son, Evan, is 32 and recently married a woman named Haley. She has a daughter from a previous relationship, Ruby. She is 8. The biological father is nowhere in the picture. My younger son, Tyler, is 28, lives with me, works a few shifts a week at a warehouse, and helps with the yard and heavy lifting. My husband is gone, so it is basically me and Tyler in the house. I am not rolling in money. I have my widow's pension, a tiny bit of savings, and this old house that always needs something fixed. I am careful. I have always been clear with my boys that I will help where I can, but I am not a bottomless ATM. Evan and Haley have been together a few years. From the start, there was this expectation that I would immediately become grandma to Ruby. I tried to be kind, but I am also realistic. This is a child who has other grandparents, other family, and an entire life that existed before us. I see her maybe once a month. She calls me by my first name. She barely makes eye contact half the time. Meanwhile, I have my nieces and nephews' kids around who have known me their entire lives. It feels different. This year was meant to be our first big Christmas all together at my house. My brother was bringing his grandkids, so there would be 5 children total, including Ruby. I cleaned, decorated, did all the cooking. Tyler helped me string the lights and drag the artificial tree down from the attic. It was a lot for one person on a limited income. When I started shopping, I told Evan plainly, I will get something for your household. I cannot suddenly add an extra grandchild at full tilt. She has other grandparents. They can pick up the slack. He did not like that, but he did not offer to contribute either. Haley has never once asked what my budget looks like. She just seems to assume I can and should do whatever she thinks family means. Tyler backed me up. He said, You're not made of money, Mom. You have my uncle's grandkids, plus you always get something for me and Evan. A nice family gift is plenty. It is not your job to raise someone else's kid. That is exactly how I feel. So what I did was this. I bought individual presents for the little ones I have known forever. My brother's grandkids got small Lego sets with their names on the tags. I bought Evan a tool set he has been eyeing. I got Haley a nice candle and a gift card. For their household, I bought a good board game, wrapped it, and labeled it for Evan, Haley, and Ruby. In my mind, that was fair. I acknowledged her. I contributed something they could all enjoy. But I was not going to start carving up my budget for personalized piles for a child who already has a whole other family tree doing that. Christmas morning came. The house was full. The kids were excited. We did stockings for the little ones. My brother brought Ruby one and put it on the mantle, which I thought was generous of him. Then we moved on to the presents. The other kids each opened their individual gifts from me. They squealed, said thank you, ran over to show their parents. Then I handed the board game to Evan and Haley and said, This is for you 3. Evan smiled a bit tightly. Haley said thank you, and Ruby hovered behind them. They opened it. I said, A game for family nights. I noticed Ruby's face. She looked at the piles of paper around the other kids and then at the one box that had been for all 3. She went very quiet. Kids do that. They are moody. I assumed Haley could explain later that Christmas is not always equal piles. Apparently, that made me a monster. In the afternoon, I heard Ruby ask Haley in the hallway, Did I do something wrong? My heart did pinch, but before I could say anything, Haley shot me a look like I had slapped her child. In the kitchen, she cornered me. She said, You gave every other child here their own present with their name on it. You know she saw that. I said, I gave her something. She is not going without. That game is for her too. Haley said, She is your granddaughter. I said, She is your daughter. She has other grandparents. I barely know her. I cannot afford to take on every child who gets attached to my sons and treat them exactly the same as blood. Evan came in and said, Mom, that is out of line. She sees me as her dad. You know that. In the heat of the moment, I snapped, Biologically, she is not my grandchild, and I am not going to be guilt-tripped into pretending otherwise with my bank account. It exploded from there. Haley cried. Evan said they were leaving. My brother tried to smooth it over and failed. They packed up early, Ruby clutching the board game, and left. I was shaking with anger and embarrassment. Tyler told me later I should not have had to explain myself at all, that if they wanted her spoiled, they should have stayed with her own family. The next day, a friend from church sent me a link and said, "Is this about you?" Haley had gone online and written a long post about Mile refusing to get her stepchild a Christmas present while showering other kids with gifts, and quoted my line about, "Not every random child you bring home." Hundreds of strangers were calling me every name under the sun without knowing anything about my finances, my health, or my actual relationship with this child. Family members clearly recognized it and are now disappointed in me. Evan texted to say he needs space and that they might not come next year. From where I am standing, I did my best within my limits, acknowledged a child who has other relatives, and got crucified for not pretending biology does not exist. Given all that, am I the jerk for not buying my son's stepdaughter her own individual Christmas present and saying out loud that she is not really my grandchild? Update 1. I did not expect so many people to have such strong opinions about presents they did not pay for. After I posted, I thought a few people might say, "You have boundaries, that is fine." Instead, the responses were full of people acting like I had burned the child's stocking in the driveway. I was told I was cruel and heartless, that kids do not understand bloodlines, only hurt. I stopped reading. My blood pressure was climbing. What really poured gasoline on it was Haley's post. She did not name me, but she did not need to. She wrote something like, "My mail gave gifts to every kid at Christmas except my daughter, because she is not real family." Then she included my lines about random child you bring into the family and she has other grandparents, and mentioned the one board game. The comments were vicious. People told her to cut me off forever, never let me see any future babies, that I had shown my true colors. I only found out because my friend Denise from church sent me a screenshot. Then my brother called, then another friend. Clearly, it was doing the rounds. In the family group chat, it blew up. My brother's wife, Megan, wrote, "We love you, but seeing it laid out, it does look like Ruby was singled out." I replied, "I bought her a gift. It was a family gift. I am on a pension. I do not know her the way I know your grandkids. I am trying to be fair to everyone." Evan wrote, "Mom, the problem is not the money. It is that you made it very obvious in front of her that she does not count the same as the other kids." I said, "I am being realistic. She has other grandparents. I am not going to be forced into a role I do not feel." My brother, who rarely says anything blunt, wrote, "Could you not have picked something small with her name on it, even a book, just so she did not feel left out?" That stung. Megan added that her grandkids had asked why Ruby did not have her own present from me. Apparently, kids notice what we think they do not. Tyler had been watching me type. When they kept going back and forth, he finally weighed in. "With all due respect," he wrote, "Mom is doing Christmas on a pension. She cooks, heats the house, buys gifts. If Haley wants her daughter to have a huge haul, maybe she and Evan shouldn't dump that expectation on someone who barely knows the kid. That is their job, not Mom's." No one responded to him. To me, that says they had already decided which role they wanted me in, and it was not the one where my situation mattered. The next day, Evan called. "I need some space, Mom," he said. "We are not coming over for New Year's. I need you to understand how much you hurt her." "I did not hurt her," I said. "She is 8. Children get upset at Christmas all the time over things they do not get. She will be fine. You are blowing this up because your wife likes to dramatize." "It is not about the gift," he said. "It is the message. She is old enough to know when she's being ranked." "She is not being ranked," I snapped. "She is being acknowledged. I acknowledged her. That is more than plenty of step-grandparents do. You are not going to punish me because I won't erase reality for appearances?" "We are not punishing you," he said. "We are protecting our kid. We need to think about what holidays with you look like going forward." I hung up shaking. Somehow, I had become the problem in my own house. Tyler made tea and sat across from me. "They are using that kid as leverage," he said. "They think they can dangle her in front of you to get their way." "What they want," I said, "is to force me to call myself a grandmother to a child I did not carry and do not feel bonded to, as if words alone make it true." He nodded. "Exactly. And next they will start talking about how your estate should reflect all the grandkids equally. Do not let them guilt you into splitting everything 3 ways when she has other family and I am the one here helping keep this place standing." I had not thought of it in those terms. I have worked my whole life. This house is the only real asset I have. The idea that it could end up partly going to a child whose other grandparents I have never even met, while Tyler has been the one mowing the lawn and carrying groceries, does not sit well with me. At church that Sunday, I felt eyes on me. Some people avoided me. Others used that soft, "How are you?" voice usually saved for funerals. One woman said, "I read something online. If that was about you, I am sure there is more to it." I wanted to say, "Of course there is, but the internet does not want nuance." Instead, I smiled and said I was fine. That afternoon, Evan and Haley came over to talk, without Ruby. Haley said, "We are not here to fight. We want to move forward, but some things have to change. If we keep bringing Ruby here when she is treated like an afterthought, we cannot keep doing holidays together." Evan added, "And there is something else. We were going to wait, but given everything, we are pregnant. Haley is about 10 weeks. My chest squeezed. A baby that is actually mine by blood. I must have smiled because Haley's face hardened. "This baby will not be treated as real while my daughter is treated as a guest," she said. "If you want to be in this child's life, you need to decide whether you can see both of them as our kids. Not my daughter and his baby. Both." I said, "Of course I want to be involved." Inside, a knot of panic formed. I know very well that whoever has the newborn holds all the cards. After they left, Tyler shook his head. "See," he said, "they are already dangling that kid in front of you like a reward. You can be a good grandma to your real grandchild without handing everything to some other man's kid." It might sound harsh written out, but in the moment, it felt like someone finally saw what I was trying to say. I have worked too hard and lost too much for one awkward Christmas morning to be treated like proof I am unfit to be in my own grandchild's life. Update 2. The space Evan wanted turned into this stiff politeness I did not know what to do with. He still called, but it felt scheduled. Wednesday nights, Haley rattled around in the background. He would ask about my health, Tyler's work, the furnace. Then he would give quick pregnancy updates. "She is 14 weeks now. We heard the heartbeat. Everything looks good." I said all the right lines and tried not to hear what was underneath. "We are checking whether you are safe to let near this baby." About a month later, he texted asking if they could come by to talk properly. No Ruby, just them. Tyler rolled his eyes when I told him. "Here comes the terms and conditions," he said. That morning, I went to the discount shop and bought a small unicorn craft set with Ruby's name in mind. I wanted something I could push across the table and say, "Look, I am trying." We sat at the kitchen table with untouched tea. Haley said, "We want you in our lives. We want you in this baby's life. But we cannot keep putting Ruby in situations where she clearly gets less." I slid the bag over. "I bought this for her," I said. "I realized I had not gotten her something just from me. You can give it to her." "Thank you," Haley said. "That is kind, but this is about more than one present." "It was one Christmas," I replied. "You talk like there is a long history. I barely see her." "That is exactly why she noticed," Evan said. "On the one big day at your house, she saw every other kid get their own from you, and she did not." "I am not made of money," I said. I acknowledged her. "I will not pretend we have the same relationship." Haley said, "Her other grandparents moved away. Day to day, we are it. If you choose not to treat her as your granddaughter, she feels that. It is not theoretical to her. They told me about the adoption plans. Evan would legally become Ruby's father. Paperwork to match reality, as they put it." I asked bluntly, "And what does that mean for me, legally?" "It does not have to mean anything for your will," Evan said. "That is your business. But in our home, we have 2 kids. We expect everyone around them to act like that is true." After they left, Tyler and I went to see an estate lawyer. I told the lawyer, "I want the house to go to the son who lives with me, the rest split between both boys. Any provisions for grandchildren should be for biological grandchildren from my sons, not step relations." He asked if I was sure. I said yes. I wanted no ambiguity. On the way home, Tyler looked pleased. "Good," he said. "Now at least your wishes are in writing. They can play blended family all they want, but they do not get your roof by default." That night, I wrapped Ruby's craft set and put it near the door. It felt like my ticket back in. something I could hand over as proof I was trying, even if no one wanted to see the rest of the picture. Update 3. Once the will was signed, I told myself I could relax. Whatever happened with their household, at least my side of things was settled. The pregnancy advanced. Evan sent photos of Haley's bump, of Ruby helping paint a nursery wall, of tiny clothes on hangers. Ruby was in every picture, grinning, holding up baby socks like she had personally knit them. "We are trying to make this special for her," he said, "so she does not feel pushed aside." At the shower hosted by Haley's parents, it was clear who the main grandparents were. Her mother wrote both Ruby and the baby's name under grandkids on a little chalkboard and referred to herself and her husband as the grandparents. I stood there with my paper plate of cake and smiled. When the baby was born, I learned by text. "Heading to the hospital now, wish us luck," then later, "Welcome Lily," with a photo. I typed, "My first real grandchild," then deleted "real" before sending. I wrote, "She is perfect. When can I visit?" They had Haley's parents up first. 2 days later, it was my turn. I washed my hands, followed every instruction, and held Lily. She was tiny and warm and very real. Whatever my opinions about how we got here, she did not ask for any of it. I started visiting every other week. I brought something small for Ruby each time because I am not stupid and I know every interaction is being monitored. Coloring books, hair clips, hot chocolate. I read to her, praised her drawings, asked about school. I made sure Haley could not say I was ignoring her. One afternoon, with Haley in the bedroom feeding Lily, Ruby asked, "Do you love Lily more because she is actually your grandbaby?" I felt every muscle in my body tighten. "I love you both in different ways," I said. "I have known you longer. Lily is a baby, so she needs more help right now. That does not mean she is more important." She frowned but nodded slowly. That conversation went back to her parents, I am sure. Nothing exploded, so I assume I passed. Later, walking me to the car, Evan said, "Thank you for being kind to Ruby. She said you read 3 stories. Just, please be careful with how you phrase things. She is trying to figure out where she fits." "I am walking on eggshells," I said. "I am visiting. I am buying gifts. I am careful. At some point, you have to accept that I am trying." "I know," he said. "We see that. We just really do not want to mess this up for her." A few weeks later, he called about Christmas. "We would like to try doing it at your place again," he said. "Just us. No cousins, a quieter day. We think that might be easier on Ruby and on you." Part of me thought, here comes another test. Another part thought, if it is just our branch, no cousins to compare piles with, maybe this can work. "I can do that," I said. "But I will need help with food. I cannot do a full spread alone." "We will bring most of it," he said. "We will do presents there so the girls see you are included. We just need to know there will not be a repeat of last year." "I will make sure everyone has something with their name on it," I said. "All right?" He sounded relieved. "Thank you, Mom." I hung up and told Tyler. He scowled. "They are dangling Christmas like a reward," he said. "Equal performances in exchange for access." "It is one day," I said. "I can survive one day of making it all look perfectly balanced." I did not say that part of me wanted that picture too. My tree, my living room, both girls on my rug, like any other grandmother. Update 4. I spent that week making lists and stretching my budget. I bought Lily a soft blanket with her name stitched into the corner and a small wooden toy set. I bought Ruby a craft kit and the first books in a series she had mentioned. I addressed the tags carefully. I bought a framed photo of the 4 of them and a grocery gift card for Evan and Haley. I even sewed simple stockings with both girls' names on them and hung them on the mantle. Tyler watched me wrap. "You are doing a lot," he said. "You know she is still going to find something to be offended by." "At least this time they cannot say I left Ruby out," I said. "Whatever else happens, they will not have that." "Equal gifts does not mean equal everything," he muttered. "Only one of those kids is actually your grandkid. Do not let them make you forget that." "Today everyone is just the kids," I said. "That is all." Christmas morning started almost peacefully. They arrived mid-morning. Ruby ran straight to the stockings. When she saw her name, she actually double-checked, tracing the letters. "You put my name," she said. "Of course," I said. "You belong here, do you not?" Haley watched, tense, and then you could see her shoulders drop a fraction. We did stockings. Both girls had roughly the same assortment of little things. We did presents. Ruby opened her craft kit and the book and lit up. "This is the one I told Dad about," she said. Lily squealed at the wooden animals and rubbed her face into the blanket. For a little while, it looked exactly how I had hoped. Two children, one tree, wrapping paper everywhere, me in the middle of it. After lunch, everything came undone in less than a minute. The girls were in the living room with a cartoon. Haley was in the bedroom changing Lily. Evan had stepped outside. I was in the kitchen stacking plates. Tyler leaned against the counter. "Well," he said quietly, "you nailed the performance. Stockings, equal piles. Just remember, that does not mean 10 years from now some other man's kid is entitled to half this house." "We already dealt with that," I said. "The will is clear." "Sure," he said, "but they do not know that. They will keep pushing the 'we have two kids now' line until you cave. You think Evan would be so smug if he knew Lily is the one who will end up with the roof, not Ruby?" I was tired, and for once I wanted to feel like something in this was still mine. "She is my real grandchild," I said low. "Of course, the house will go to her side someday. I am not leaving what your father and I worked for to a child who is not even blood. Ruby will be fine. She has other family. This is me being generous, not rewriting my entire life." I did not hear the glass on the counter behind me until it clicked. Ruby was standing in the doorway with an empty cup. "How long have you been there?" I asked. She shrugged. "I was getting water," she said. "I heard my name." My stomach dropped. "What did you hear?" I managed. "That Lily is your real grandchild," she said, "and I will be fine." Before I could reach for any kind of explanation, she turned and walked back down the hall. Tyler muttered something under his breath. "Now we are in it." A moment later, I heard Haley in the living room. "What is wrong, honey?" I could not hear every word of Ruby's answer, but I caught, "Not her real grandkid," and "the house." Haley came back into the kitchen, face white and calm. "Did you say that to her?" she asked. "I did not say it to her," I said. "She overheard a private conversation." "So you did say it," she replied. Tyler cut in. "She twisted it. We were talking about wills, not about whether Ruby gets presents." Haley ignored him. "You told my child, again, that she does not really count," she said. "First the Christmas thing, now this. How many times do you expect her to hear it and still feel safe here?" "I did not say she does not count," I said. "I said Lily is my biological grandchild. That is a fact. And yes, my will reflects that. I am allowed to feel differently about a child who is actually related to me." Evan came in at that point. "What is going on?" he asked. "Your mother just explained to Ruby that Lily is her real grandchild and that she will not leave anything to Ruby because she is not blood," Haley said. "She overheard," I insisted. "Children overhear things all the time. You cannot police every sentence I say in my own kitchen." "I can control who we bring our kids around," he said very quietly. "That is what I can do." He turned to Haley. "Pack up. We are going." Haley did not argue. She went to the living room and calmly started gathering things. Ruby stood very still, holding the book I had given her. "Evan, you cannot be serious," I said. "You are going to tear Christmas apart over one sentence?" "It was not one sentence," he said. "It is a pattern, and today you confirmed, right in front of her, what we have all been afraid of. You still see her as less." Tyler jumped in. "She has the right to decide who gets what when she dies," he said. "That has nothing to do with whether your stepkid gets a craft kit." "This is not about the will," Evan said. "This is about my daughter hearing, from your mouth, that she is not really your grandchild. We are done exposing her to that." Within 15 minutes, they were gone. Later that night, Evan texted, "For now, we are taking a break from visits. We need to protect the girls. Please do not contact Ruby directly. We will reach out when we are ready." A few weeks later, a registered letter arrived from a law office. It said any attempts to contact the children outside arrangements through Evan and Haley could be treated as harassment. It warned that any negative comments I made about Haley or Ruby, especially online or in shared communities, could be documented to support further restrictions. It noted that grandparent rights are limited and courts care about whether a grandparent shows consistent support and no obvious favoritism. They got a lawyer over this, Tyler said. They want me to be afraid to open my mouth, I said. On paper, my will is still what I chose. I still have my house. Tyler is still here, but the silence where my son and his family used to be is very loud. Whether I meant Ruby to hear it or not, she heard exactly what I had been insisting was just a private feeling. That I see her as less. Final update, 5 years later. It has been almost 5 years since that Christmas and the letter from the lawyer. If you drove past my house today, you would not know any of this. The shutters are peeling the same way. The little plastic reindeer still comes out in December. It looks like any other grandmother's house. Inside, it is mostly just me and Tyler. He is 33 now. He still sleeps in his old room. He takes out the garbage, carries salt for the driveway, fixes what he notices is broken. He also eats most of the groceries and uses my car. I tell myself it is nice not to be alone, and in some ways, it is. In other ways, it is a reminder of how small my world has become. After that Christmas and the lawyer's letter, I asked my own lawyer about grandparent rights. He said, courts look at the child's best interests. They look at whether you add stability or conflict. With the letters in this file and your son and daughter-in-law united on this, you would spend a lot of money to probably lose. You could be ordered to pay their costs. Put more simply, I could lose my house and still not see the children. So I obeyed the letter. I do not contact Ruby directly. I do not show up at their home or school. If I see them in public, I wait for Evan to approach me first. I do not post anything online about them. When I talk about what happened, I keep names and details vague and out of shared spaces. For the first year or two, Evan still called every month or so. He gave me headlines. Ruby is doing well in school. Lily started preschool. We finalized the adoption. That adoption hurt to hear, but it did not surprise me. Legally, they are both his daughters. Legally, anyone saying our grandchildren about that household includes both of them. I spent so much energy clinging to the word real that the paperwork just quietly walked past me and made my opinions irrelevant. I have seen the girls in person twice since the letter, once at my brother's barbecue. They came, stayed mostly near Haley's parents, and left early. Ruby was tall, polite, distant. Lily chattered to my sister-in-law and barely looked at me. I cannot blame them. I have become a story they have been warned about. Once at a coffee shop after I had a health scare, Evan decided it would be cruel not to let them see me. Ruby was 12 by then. Braces, long hair, cautious eyes. Lily was 4, busy with crayons. I brought a journal for Ruby and a puzzle for Lily. They thanked me. Haley watched everything like a referee. We talked about school, cartoons, weather. When I asked Ruby about her favorite subject, she answered, but she did not lean into me or volunteer anything extra. She is old enough now to remember overhearing me and old enough to understand what it meant. At church, newer dramas have replaced mine. People are kind. They invite me to potlucks. No one asks me to speak about family. I sit in my usual pew. I sing the same hymns. I keep my mouth shut about my private opinions. Sometimes I see a sermon about forgiveness cross my mind and think, everyone likes the idea of second chances until it is about letting an older woman still have access to her grandchildren after saying something she should not have. Tyler keeps saying Evan and Haley are overreacting and that they will come around when the girls are older and want cars or tuition. He reminds me the will still leaves the house to him and divides what is left between my sons with any grandchild wording tied to biology. What he does not want to see is that roofs leak, furnaces die, and pensions do not stretch. I have already had to dip into savings for repairs and medical bills. By the time anything is left to inherit, it may be little more than the family photographs on the walls. And the girls are growing up without me. I know this mostly through other people's photos. A cousin will show me a picture at a picnic and forget to hide who else is tagged. A church friend will accidentally mention something she saw on social media. Last week, I saw a Christmas photo. Haley had posted it. They were all in matching pajamas. Evan and Haley on the couch, Ruby at one side, Lily at the other. Haley's parents on the ends, both smiling. The caption said, "Grateful for my parents and our girls' grandparents this year." Those are the grandparents in their life now, not me. Ruby looked relaxed. Her head was resting on Haley's mother's shoulder. Lily was half in her grandfather's lap. If you did not know the history, you would assume they had always been one family unit. I think about that first Christmas, the board game labeled for Evan, Haley, and Ruby, while every other child had their own tag. I think about the second Christmas, when I did everything they asked, and then one careless sentence in the kitchen undid it. I am not going to pretend I have become someone completely different. Part of me still bristles at how easily everyone else tosses around, "It is all the same" about blood ties when, to me, they are not. Part of me still thinks they turned this into a test and waited for me to fail. But I also know what I did. I let an 8-year-old stand in my living room and watch other children open presents with their names on them while she clutched the family box. I justified it to myself by saying she had other grandparents, as if that excused me from stepping up even slightly. I had chance after chance to keep my harsher thoughts private, and instead I said them out loud in my own kitchen where she could hear me rank her below a sister not even old enough to talk. I clung so tightly to being correct about what real means that I ended up shutting myself out of the reality my son built. This Christmas, Tyler is in his room playing some game. I put up a small tree. I wrapped a couple of generic gifts in case Evan unexpectedly stops by with the girls. He sent a short text. "We will be with Haley's parents this year. Hope you have a nice holiday, Mom." I told him I hope they have a wonderful time. I mean it in the sense that there is nothing I can do about it now. I have my house. I have an adult son in the next room who believes standing beside me while everything else shrinks counts as loyalty. I have a framed photo from that brief window where both girls were under my roof and the future still looked like it might include me. What I do not have is a living room full of children calling me grandma at Christmas. And no matter how I try to spin it, I know exactly which choices I made at my own kitchen table and under my own roof that led here. Roof that led here. Roof that led here.